and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a little bit different. This is the topic that I have mentioned briefly in past videos, but I've never actually made a dedicated video on. Today's video is on mental health habits that have been making a huge difference for me. If this is the first video of mine you're watching, hi, I'm Anika, I'm 23. 6 months ago, my husband and I moved from Vancouver to Ottawa, and that was a really exciting and really intense change in my life. And I've been sharing recently on YouTube how much it has affected my mental health. Particularly the last 3 months have been really challenging. I have been struggling in ways that I've never really struggled before, and I have been trying to figure that all out, and I feel like I have learned a lot. I want to clarify a couple of things before we get into the list. So there are timestamps, but please don't skip past this part. Number one, I am not a mental health or medical professional. None of these things are cures or solutions. Each of these things are small things that have had a big impact on me. Some of them are things that I do when I'm having a particularly bad day. Other ones are things I've just added into my daily routine that I found have really helped. And then a couple of these are just one and done. But it's very important to me that you don't watch this video and walk away feeling like you have a treatment plan. That's not what this is. This is not medical advice. Number two, if you are struggling with your mental health, please reach out to the people in your life. Talk to a doctor. Doctors and medical professionals are there as the experts to help you get through this and figure out the best plan. I also just wanted to say that if you're watching this because you're struggling with your mental health right now, I'm so sorry. I get it, and it sucks. There's something that is so frustrating about having no control over your emotions or what's going through your head. I've very much been categorized by the people in my life as like the annoyingly optimistic, always positive, always happy person. And this is the first time in my life that I haven't been that person all of the time. And that's been really challenging for me. I'm very fortunate that I didn't experience this until this point in my life, but it's also so overwhelming and intimidating to be experiencing negative emotions that I can't just fix. I'm hesitant to go too much into my own situation just because I don't really want to give out too much advice. I've honestly been really torn on whether or not to even make this video because this is something that's new to me and I am just figuring it out. And I guess I don't want to give you advice on how to handle your mental health. I'm not qualified to give you, professional advice. So these are just small things that are helpful. Take them or leave them, but if you do take them, please pursue other things as well. Okay, the first thing on this list is not actually an ongoing habit. This is one of the only one-step things on this list, and that was deleting TikTok. I am not anti-social media, obviously. Big fan of Instagram, and there are things that I love about TikTok as a platform that I think are just really cool. I feel like I've learned so much through the platform. It's so entertaining. There's so many cool videos, but I have deleted and re-downloaded it 6 times over the last year and a half. And every time that I have it on my phone and I go on it and I scroll, I just feel bad after. I actually feel like I walk away feeling more negative and cynical. Either I've been watching these beautiful aesthetic videos and I'm like, why don't I look like that? Why doesn't my house look like that? I just start to compare myself in ways that I don't on any other platforms. Or if it's not that, then I find that I end up consuming a lot of negative content on TikTok, just really sad stories or really angry people. And it's not that those things are objectively bad. And some of the things that I've watched are from angry people who should be angry because they're talking about important things that should make you angry. But the amount of time that I spent consuming negative things did not lead to positive results. It just made me feel really heavy and worn out and incapable of doing anything productive about real problems. Deleting TikTok has felt so good and so much better. It's just not good for me. You might have a different experience, and that's totally fine. I promise you I'm not judging anyone who's on TikTok because I get it, but it's just not for me. The next habit that has been so helpful for me has been scheduling self-care nights on a weekly basis. One of the most consistent rituals we've had since moving to Ottawa has been our independent Friday nights. So Friday nights, Zach usually hops on the computer and hangs out, chats with his buddies, they play some games, it's a good time. And knowing that he has that, I've made Friday nights my consistent solo self-care night. It usually looks different for me every week. Sometimes I bake, sometimes I take a bath, sometimes I'm reading or whatever it is. But because that's there, we never make plans on Friday night. We pretty much always set it aside, and that has been really nice. The night itself is really good and restorative, but I think almost just as effective has been just knowing that I have one night every single week where I get to rest, and it's the end of my work week. I can just exist and relax and unwind, disconnect. I usually try and stay off social media, and it's just lovely. Also, do you like my little spring Easter egg garland. I got it from HomeSense and I think it's so weird, but it's so cute. This next one has surprised me the most out of everything on this list because it's something that I've criticized a lot in the past, and I don't necessarily disagree with what I've said, but I think I just understand it differently now. I'm calling this Pinterest self-care. Basically what I mean by that is practicing self-care in the most aesthetic of senses. When you type in self-care on Pinterest, the things that come up are like bubble baths, dry brushing, face masks, matching lounge sets, and lighting candles, and all of those things that are relaxing, but they don't actually change anything about your life or your situation. In my self-care habits video that I posted in January, I really criticized this and talked about like more drastic self-care habits that I've implemented into my life and how those have made a really big difference. And I still think like that's true self-care. But I think where this has really come into play for me has been in these last few months where I have just not been feeling like myself at all, and I've not been feeling great about myself either. And so doing things like taking a bath, doing a hair mask, these little tiny ways of caring for myself have been really, really life-giving in a way that they just weren't before. Practical ways to be gentle and kind to myself when my mind is not doing that for me. The next one is super simple, but it has been really challenging for me, and that is not trying to change how I'm feeling. My whole life, I've been this really cheerful, positive, optimistic person, and like last year, I probably woke up in a bad mood all of 3 times total. And it's been most of this year. I've woken up like not feeling great. I'm very fortunate for that, but it has been a really dramatic shift, and my instinct is always, okay, how do I change my mindset on this? How do I make myself feel something different? What can I think about that will make me feel excited? What can I do that is gonna make me feel happy instead of being sad because I don't want to be sad? Part of me almost feels guilty for being sad because I have so many great things in my life, and that's been really challenging too, of just like, how could I possibly complain when I have, you know, this incredible husband, this beautiful apartment. I get to make YouTube videos for a job right now, which I am absolutely loving. I have an amazing family. Like, what right do I have to wake up feeling sad and upset and miserable? But unfortunately, that's just not how mental illness works. And fighting those feelings has not shifted them for me at all. It's just made me tired. So instead, I've been actively practicing letting myself feel whatever it is that I'm feeling. If I'm sad, I'm just sad. If I'm angry, I let myself be angry and I just feel the things, and usually they kind of run their course, just kind of naturally soften after a while. The next point on my list has been cutting out caffeine. While I am not prepared to give up coffee entirely, I have stuck to 1 cup a day most of the time for the last couple of months. I'm definitely a beverage girly though, so I've been swapping my 2nd cup of the day for a matcha usually. I make these at home because coffee shops are too expensive. My favorite mix currently is the Bloom Matcha Coconut. Technically there is some caffeine in the matcha, but it's much, much lower than a 2nd cup of coffee. I do have a discount code if you want to try any of their mixes. Not sponsored, it is an affiliate code. I'll pretty much always have that in the description box if you ever want to check it out. The next habit that has been just absolutely game-changing for me is something that I just introduced in my new video on how to build healthy routines. I've learned this lesson the hard way this year, and that is to create bare minimum routines. I've lived so much of my life just feeling like, oh man, the reason I'm having a hard time sticking to this routine or following through on this system is because it's just not the right routine, because if it was, I would have no problem doing it. And that's just not true. I've created so many elaborate routines for myself and really struggled to complete them, and eventually often given up because either I do everything on this list or I've failed, which is a terrible, terrible mindset to have. That's not true. And I wasn't necessarily consciously thinking that, but it was definitely the underlying feeling in my mind. So for every consistent routine that I have, I've now created a bare minimum version. I have a list of like 13 things that I'd love to get done in the morning. My bare minimum version is to get out of bed, brush my teeth, make coffee, eat breakfast. That's it. As long as I've done that, I've done my morning routine. This has been so helpful for me because it really just creates that permission to still have a productive and successful day, even if I'm operating at a lower capacity. It makes the days when I get the things I'd like to get done feel super, super sweet, but if I don't get to those things, I can still feel at peace and confident and capable. It's much better for my mindset. The next point in this list is kind of related to that, keeping a loose schedule. I am a planner through and through. Since the dawn of my lifetime, I have liked to plan things as far in advance as I could. My family always teases me because my birthday's in December, and when I was growing up, I would start planning my parties in January because that's just 100% who I am. I can be flexible, I can roll with changes, but I like to always have a plan. plan. This is an area where I really had to push myself recently to intentionally create a looser schedule without rigid parameters. My capacity has fluctuated so much lately, socially, emotionally, how much work I'm able to do and what type of work I'm able to do. You guys know I'm a big time blocker and I have stopped time blocking for the time being. I do hope to get back into it eventually, but right now, I just know that it's not the best thing for me. I've been changing my plans a lot more than I normally would. For example, I was supposed to film this video 3 days ago and I woke up and I really didn't want to film. I love filming, I love creating videos, but if I'm having a really bad day, sitting in front of the camera for a video like this is really hard for me. I will happily vlog when I'm having a bad day, but on days like this, I just find that it's harder for me to get out the right words for what I'm trying to say. So I completely changed my schedule, pushed this video to today. I'll be able to stay on track with my targets and where I want to be. The last habit that I want to talk to you about today is the only one that I will claim is like good official advice, and that is please, if you're struggling, go to therapy. I started therapy in January of last year, and it is without a doubt one of the 3 best decisions that I've ever made. The difference that this has made in my life is really hard to understate. I was scrolling through my photos the other day and I came across one from one of the harder days of my life last year. Having been in therapy already for 2 months, it was so much better than it could have been because I was able to process it in a space where somebody knew me, knew the context and the background of what was happening, and was able to walk me through my feelings, my emotions, and what I wanted to do about it, already having so much trust built. Finding somebody that you click with is huge. I seriously cannot recommend this enough. It's just been so good. I think every single person in the world can benefit from therapy, can benefit from good therapy. That is it for these mental health habits that have been so helpful for me. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, not to beat a dead horse, but I'm not a professional. Please reach out to somebody that you trust and seek help. I love you and I am rooting for you and cheering for you. It is going to get better. It's not going to be like this forever, and we are both going to get through this. I hope you have a good day because today is a good day to have a good day. And that's it. Bye.